Today we're going to do a breakthrough of my CN Tower dive and my setup and all that stuff. This is my next project. It's a super light Cine rig, basically, with the Cinelog 3025 drove me nuts, because the ducts, when they are installed, they go under the motor, so that pushes the motor away from the frame, causes more vibrations and problems like that. So this is going to be able to carry a naked GoPro, no problem. I'm doing it as light as possible with analog, but I might do digital and stuff later, I don't know. But you came here for this, so let's do this. Think that it would fly as well as it did, and now that it does, it's making me think about kind of taking my favorite discus and setting it up in maybe the same configuration, just so I can get used to things flying that way. But with this setup, I can't really fit a battery on top, so I might just keep that like that and start building things in the future like this. I'll have a few of these. I want to make them kind of the same weight so that I'm always used to flying the same thing. Now, as I said, I've been flying setups like this, and I've been using the EP2. I have like 7 quads with EP2s on them, and they've been super solid, but you can always kind of tell when they are going out of range. The radio will beep and be like telemetry lost, and then you don't really know how much further you got. So let's kind of start off with talking about that, because I'm using the pocket radio, and I thought that maybe I'd need a boxer to edge for that one switch. But I held a boxer and I held one of these, and I was just like, I love the way this feels. It feels so good. And I basically shaved off the top of the sticks because I like the sticks to be shorter, and I don't really thumb, because you can slide off a thumb, and I don't pinch. I do this thing where I go from on top and I kind of do this. So with the tips of my thumbs, that's kind of how I'm flying. I might do a video about that. But basically, see this? It's so easy to go to full throttle like this. When the stick's longer, your hand has to like stretch further, and you'll get like carpal tunnel over ton. But if you go into your Express ELRS settings, because I didn't really understand all these things, so I had to look it up. So there's a few different 500 options, but you want to be at the 500 hertz. There's this 500D, and that sends double the packet rates, but it also introduces a touch of latency, I believe. So you want to make sure that if you're at 500 hertz, you're there. That's what I was using. And then this number over here, what the heck does that mean, okay? So what this means is when this number is low, like 1 to 2, you see, or see at one race, it's probably sending a ton. I don't really know, I'm just guessing. That 1 to 2, it's sending out the signal every 2 something. I don't know if it's seconds or what. But now see, that's going to send a signal twice as less, and then 4 times as less. And then I was flying, I believe, right here, 1 at 32 when I did the CN Tower dive. So basically what you can do is when you're flying, let's say you're set down at down here, so it's going to be coming, the signal is going to be coming faster because it's more frequent, but you're not going to get as much range. So if you have it set to like 0.4, and then you're halfway up a tower and it says telemetry lost, then the next time, don't do this while you're flying or anything, you know. Next time, take it up. So I was at 132, and right now I'm experimenting with 116, because basically you don't want to be losing telemetry. So with this number, you put it up until you're not losing telemetry and you're going the distance that you want to go. If you are losing telemetry, so then you kind of bump the number up so that it's sending it less, but it's going further. And if you take the number down, it's going to send it faster, but it's not going to send it as frequent. That very nice. So that was how the radio was set up, and I had no problems with the link. I wouldn't trust an EP2 to do it. I just wouldn't. I have lost connection with the EP2 at not too far of a range. So let's look at the battery. I'm using a 4S650, and it's toilet tanked on top. I feel that the balance of this drone is insane. Lots of people go for the dead cat to get the props out of view, but I decided to put the motors underneath and go like this. Put the camera on top so that the props are not in view. And without having the props in view, it looks beautiful, but we still get to keep the truax. So we're not sacrificing the performance. We're not sacrificing the balance. And this drone is exceptionally balanced because the battery is like here right in the middle. And then the weight here of the stack is underneath. So you have the weight underneath, you have the weight on top, and you have the weight underneath of the motors. So it's just, this drone is just perfectly balanced. So it moves really, really nicely. And I don't notice a difference from that and this one flying, except that maybe I think that it might have a little bit more prop wash if you come out of a dive hard, but you want to come out of those things smoother anyways. If you just go, you're going to get more prop wash, but if you go smoothly, then you won't get as much. All right, so that's put on there. Now with this, and the sticker that it's on is not something like this. It's not like the foam, and it's not like something kind of like hard rubber. It's kind of like in between. It's kind of like a foamy, sticky, double-sided tape thing. And Dr. Quadge did a thing where he showed that when it's kind of this type of material, it actually absorbs some of the vibrations and whatever, and the batteries, well, it just sits beautifully on that anyway. So this type of material is good. I made this basically as short as possible so that I could almost have, I might make some sort of 3D print plug, but the thing with that is that then you won't be able to, well, this would have, the wires have to be put through and then soldered to the flight controller. So it's another thing making this build a little bit more difficult. And I think I made it a little bit too short this time, because I can't strap this in, and then, oh, I kinda can, but what I always do is I have it kinda loose, and I plug it in, and then I stick it through, like that, and then I strap it in, and that's what I do. I put in some glue because when I did stick this cord through, I cut it a bit and it was touching the carbon, which almost started a little fire. So I stick a pile of glue in there to keep it out enough that the hole in the wire is not exposed. Kinda janky, I know. Okay, now let's look. So on the O3 air unit, I'm just using these little antennas that came with it. And this thing has such insane range that you don't need that big fancy antenna. I'm not pushing it to the edge of its range. It was able to handle all this stuff really beautifully without, like, breaking up or getting blurry or doing weird stuff like that. Now let's look at the camera. So the camera is stripped down naked, and it's stuck into my print. My print isn't the most beautiful, just so that you know, if you do end up ordering one off me, I haven't designed a new print yet, so if you did get it, it'll be ugly as this, but it works, it's functional. What I'm going to do is eventually take these, and instead of going from the side, and then run them underneath and connect it like that so that we won't get all this yuckiness in the print, but it still works fine. Now, this bottom plate, I made these things that basically see, they're like this. So I made these nubs that kind of like go in so that these longer screws could just go into them and kind of like just tighten. So I have shorter ones on the two outer edges, and then longer ones in the middle. I am like shaky because I worked out and I took pre-workout and took caffeine and all that wonderful stuff. So I'm just really sketchy right now. But you gotta work out, man. Especially like with the winter and getting depressed and whatever. Gotta take vitamin D. So vitamin D, when you get a capsule, it has like about 1,000, whatever it is. You can actually take about 3 or 4 of them a day during the winter, and it's actually really good for you. So take your vitamin D, help cheer you up. Work out. Working out's as good for you emotionally as it is physically. Helps you stay sane and everything. Okay, so now on this plate actually has 20 by 20 holes, so you can stick a 20 by 20 stack into the plate if you wanted to. If you wanted to do underneath or on top, there's holes like this on the top and bottom, so you can toilet tank on top or underneath. So I basically screwed the naked O3 unit there, and I designed this. So this is basically like a little insulation plate that goes like this on the top or bottom if you want. And what this does is it keeps the O3 unit from shorting on the carbon. Another thing that it does is this one's actually the 1.5 millimeter thickness. It also pushes this off enough that you can get a USB-C into the air unit to get your footage. Then I made these little spacers that are just big enough that they keep the board from touching itself. So instead of having all this like naked board, whatever TPU in between, there's just enough that this board is not going to be able to touch that board. And same thing on this side. So it's only screwed on by the two sides. It's not touching down here. It's not touching this all-in-one. There's enough clearance. And I can put shorter screws in here. I actually ordered all titanium screws, so I can do this whole thing with titanium screws on the motors underneath all these stacks, just the right length and everything. Then inside, I got an all-in-one at the bottom, one of the old Gemcos when they still had the M6000. So this thing's working really solidly, feels nice. I stuck a capacitor. I ordered a whole pile of these. They're 35 volt, 470 UF whatever. So I stick these on all my builds. I don't know why. They clean up things or whatever. People do it. They say it's good. They make things cleaner or whatever. So let's do it. Why not? And then here, the star of the show. This is from Happy Model. It's the TXCO special purple crap that takes temperatures better or whatever. And it's the EP2 Dual Express ELRS receiver from Happy Model. And yeah, so it is this build you can go into. I live stream. I did a pile of things wrong and it took me 6 hours. But I'm pretty sure I could build one of these from fully encased 03 to set up like this in 1.5 to 2 hours. So you could look at that build. Maybe I'll do a build video the next time that I do it, or I'll live stream it because I'm too lazy to do build videos because they take too long, and you'll be able to see it all in the live stream anyways, and as I do them more, they'll get faster. But it has these two antennas, so the antennas are you could do like this and this, but the way that I routed the wires, it just worked better like this. One in the front, one in the back, and then this it's janky, right? I ran this antenna through here, and this antenna out of this hole in the body. And so basically you got one antenna going this way and one antenna going that way. So you get one of those L-shaped formation things. I have the motors screwed on by two. And with this frame, if you use the 12mm motors, it works, but the wires will run out the side. If you were to just go with a direct transfer from the Crux 35, or if you take 1404s or the Pacer T motors, the 1604s, they have the 9mm motor holes, so those will line up perfectly with the frame. And this is basically, if you take a Crux 35 and you just transfer it over to my discus, you just bloody love this. This is so much better than the Crux 35. Where is it? Feeds it crap. Okay, look. So here's a Crux 35. Look at this. So they just took electronics, they stuck it on a frame, and it's ugly. There's wasted space, there's wasted carbon, and then not where you need it. Look at those thin, dinky arms. You take that. This is the exact same thing. Hey, so this is a V2 Crux 35, 15mm standoffs. So because of that, you're going to have a better center of gravity when you hit. It is harder to hit the camera because it's more in there. And see this? When this thing hits, you have all the leverage from that length. So it's going to be a lot easier to bend those standoffs to crack this camera protector. And it's even easier to hit the camera because it's out more than in this. Here it's tight, it's low. The balance is great, so it's going to fly better. You're going to get better too, and then you're not going to have as many accidents because it flies beautifully. Okay? Now, also, yeah, there's the bumpers. So if you wanted to, you could take the bumpers off, and then that'll save you. How much do these things weigh? Let me see how much the bumpers weigh. I haven't put up the mini bumpers. I also made mini bumpers that are even lighter, but I don't like how they look, and if I don't like how something looks, it's not good enough. So these are about 1 gram, 0.10. So if you took the bumpers off of this, you would be saving yourself 4 grams. But this flies beautifully. It's wonderful, and you can build it. Now you see how I kind of have mine set up. It is super tight. It's annoying to kind of put those through. I would stick it all on one stack. Now the problem with putting it all on one stack is to try to get these screws and then have the nut underneath the board. If you screw these into the nut in the board, then you're not able to screw it into the L3 air unit because the M-true screws kind of force themselves into here. They don't just stick in, you have to kind of screw them in. So if you try to do it in one board, you won't be able to screw it in and then get it through the golden nut. Like it's not going to work like that. So by doing it like this, the other thing that you could do is this plug, the DJI plug, if it was plugged into your flight controller, all you would have to do, I have the camera wire routed through here also, but if I didn't, like you could just unplug the camera, you could unplug this, and you could take the whole board and the camera over to another one. So if you basically, let's say you had another discus frame all set up with a flight controller ready for the O3, if anything went wrong, like you cracked an arm or something, you could just unscrew the camera, unscrew this thing, put it onto the other one, and you'd be able to just keep going. So that's kind of makes life a little bit simpler if you wanted to do that. Right now, I believe that I only have this at it's a 20 or 30 degree angle, but I'll make different angles for it. You can't take the O3 camera and stick it on in its case. You can see the case here. Like if you had it in the case, it would be as big as this whole thing. So you do have to take it out of the case, and you have to take the unit out of the case. It has to be naked. You could do the half-naked thing. That would work too, where it's like this, where you don't take out the heat sinks and whatever. That way you could keep your SD slot reader, and this might be able to do a little bit more heat protection. I was gonna do that, but I killed it during the build, because I'm an idiot. And, what else? There's something else I want to say about that. If you do want this, the frame with all the accessories, like the nubs, the camera, the screws, the standoffs and everything, to have this exact build. This is 3mm carbon. I also have 3.5, but to have this exact build, like all the frame parts, all the accessories, 40 USD. So if you want one of those, you can shoot me a message at Toronto FPV on Facebook, and we can make that happen. 40 USD plus shipping. So I'll go to the post office, figure out how much it is to ship to you, and then you'll just PayPal me the whole amount, and I'll send it to you. I'm gonna have a website soon. I will be doing probably bind and flies too, if I can source some air units wholesale. If I can't, then I probably won't be doing that either. It is a little bit tedious, and it's just not worth it to spend all that time and have to like buy everything full price and then try to make it for you. Unless you're willing to, pay for all the parts. Costs like $100 for labor, then I'm down to do it. So if money's not a thing and you just want to do that, then great, I'll be happy to do that for you. Let's go look at the footage. So let's say you're going to use my exact setup, okay? So if you're going to use my exact setup, you're going to want to be inside your settings, in your DJI goggles. You're going to be shooting at 2.7K, so not 4K. You're going to be at 2.7K, and you're going to be in the 4x3 mode, because it's the only, in 4K, you can't go into the 4x3 mode, so you have to go into the 2.7K mode, and you get this is what it will look like in the goggles and everything. But then after this is done, you're going to be able to take this footage, and there's going to be a file like this that comes with it. And all you're going to have to do is take that footage into GyroFlow, okay? GyroFlow or whatever. So this exact footage, and there's a file. So if you take this and it's in the same folder and you just put this into GyroFlow, there'll automatically be a lens profile for DJI. So you do the DJI Air unit. You will be able to take the file, and this one doesn't have, the one that I'm using right now doesn't have it because I got rid of it. But for instance, let's say here, see this one, the 12, this has a file for it. So I basically take the file and I drop it into here. So all you do is just open GyroFlow, you set it up for the air unit, and it'll automatically take this footage and it will turn it into viewing footage for everyone. So me, I don't want it to be in the 17 Rima 9 mode when I'm flying. I like it to be in the 4.3 because that's how I'm going to see the whole sensor, It's gonna let me have the most information and be able to see the most, which is gonna allow me to fly better. Okay, when I dump it into gyroflow or gyroflow or whatever, and it already will have the detected camera, so it'll use the right camera for it. The only adjustment that I change is the smoothness, so it has like a 0.3 or 0.5. I drop it down to 0.2 because I don't want it to be overly smooth. I want it to be close to true kind of as possible, and just do the minimal whatever. Then you hit export, and it'll export it into a file that you will be able to see just like this. So it'll take that file and it'll turn it into something like this. And you see, if you have shaky footage, it's still going to be able to see the shakes. But then after I think I figured out what was wrong with that. No, it was different footage. It was the next footage. So same thing. I fixed the shakiness and it just makes it really nice and smooth. So that's basically what that's how I transfer my videos from straight off the DJI camera through gyroflow. So there's like a little tutorial for that. And now let's just do a walkthrough the whole CN Tower dive, and you can see it raw out of the camera, like what I saw and everything. And then from that, like at the end of this, I'll put the fully edited video so you can check that out if you wanted to too. But here's the walkthrough. So yeah, it's pretty dark. It doesn't really pop at all. So I did manipulate it, ran it through gyroflow, made it smoother, and messed with the colors a bit and did all that stuff. So I have a tutorial that can teach you how to start making your own FPV videos. So at the end of this, I'll link the video that will help you get started with making your own FPV videos if you want, and you can see how I do my edits, find music, cut the edit to the music and all that stuff. And this is exactly what I saw with my drone. So even though I put it through gyroflow or whatever, I still try to fly smoothly and gently, and this drone is really quite solid. I've never really gone so far because I'm not really into long range, and the idea of anything going wrong when you fly far away and never getting your drone again really sucks. It was super fun. It was super exciting. There were no, glitches in my setup. There was no telemetry lost. There was no, like, blurry picture. There was a point where, like, I had to remember right there that the Sky Dome is to the right of the CN Tower so that I'd always be able to find my way, because when you go up in places that you're not used to, it can be easy to get lost. Can also be easy to just lose your orientation of where north, south, east, and all that are. And if you don't know where everything is, you could be stuck in the sky and not know how to get back home, and then start panicking or whatever. And if you start panic, then you'd make more dumb decisions and mistakes and whatever. So you always want to be aware of where you are, of surroundings. So really, like, before, you're not encouraging anyone do anything like this, but before doing this, I made sure that I had that reference point from the CN Tower. I had the Sky Dome, and I knew that if I knew where the Sky Dome was and I could find it, I would easily be able to get back home. I also, at the time, did not have OSD, so the whole night of this, video, I put the timer on, I hit record, and I knew that I had about 3 minutes. So yeah, from that whole video that you saw, like the 2 dives, they were both done on this one pack. This was both of them. And then here you see it. I'm not where I'm supposed to be. I'm going around the back end of the CN Tower. So the tower's totally like blocking from where I was. So yeah, that was like the biggest mistake I did. I went all the way around it, but picture was fine. I wasn't losing signal. Nothing got weird. And now Skydome was there, so I knew how to get back home. That was it. It was sick. It was really fun. And once again, I don't encourage anyone to do this stuff. It's I don't know, it can always be risky. It's a lot less risky when there's no people around or anything. I had the cops right behind me. You can see the police car. It's still there. If not, you can see, yeah, it's there. So the police were there, and right next to me there was like a security guard that came by. And yeah, just watch the edited video and you can see the whole story, okay? Or the edit. Hope you guys enjoyed that.